Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am the Victorian Cowboy, and welcome back to the Time of Contempt book club. Yes, we are discussing the second novel in Andrzej Sapkowski's Witcher series of novels. We are discussing Chapter 5 today. We've finished Chapter 5, and first and foremost with Chapter 5, I want to say I quite like the narrative style of how we're being told what's going on in the world. So the chapter begins with Dandelion being escorted by the soldiers. He gets into Broccolon, and the Dryads like his singing and whatnot. And then he runs into Geralt, who is in turn asking for news. And Dandelion, as he's telling the story, we actually get these snippets, these vignettes that he's giving us. So rather than just listening to Dandelion say, well, here's what happened, we get to see it through the perspective of some characters we haven't seen before and others we have. So like Rayla, I believe she was the soldier that came in and was talking with Yennefer in the bathhouse. And so we get to see her valiant last stand. And it illustrates what's going on in the war for us. So Dandelion is reporting all of the hearsay, all of the gossip that's going on to Geralt, and Geralt is taking it all in and realizing just how wrong he was. So, for instance, he mentions that Ciri was right, neutrality doesn't work. I feel this chapter also had some really interesting insights, and I'll share some of those in a few minutes, but not even insights, but just passages. And one is the Dryad talking to Dandelion. I wrote the page down here, in my book, 237. And on this is the Dryad who I believe is the figment of Dandelion's imagination, talking to him in this vision that Geralt points out. But the passage goes, "A most deplorable sight," she said, folding her arms across her chest. "Someone who has lost everything. You know, minstrel, it is interesting. Once I thought it was impossible to lose everything, that something always remains. Always. Even in times of contempt, when naivete is capable of backfiring in the cruelest way, one cannot lose everything. But he lost several pints of blood, the ability to walk properly, the partial use of his left hand, his witch's sword, the woman he loves, the daughter he had gained by a miracle, his faith. Well, I thought, he must have been left with something. But I was wrong. He has nothing now. Not even a razor." And I just feel like that's a really powerful description of just what's been at stake for Geralt. And how his own confidence in his ability, especially going back to his fight with Vilgefortz, really shows the error of his ways. Just the amount that Geralt has had at stake and still has at stake, though he doesn't feel he has it anymore. Like, the Dryad gives Dandelion insight into a friend that he has never really had before. And Dandelion is not a foolish character. He's silly, and he may come across as flippant and to some people annoying, but he's an intelligent character who has the ability to read the emotions of others. He has just that innate skill, being the artist who writes about it, to generally understand, even if he pretends not to. So to see this side of Geralt is something he has not done before. The other line that I think really reveals a lot more than anything else in either of the novels so far is by Geralt. And it's when Dandelion says he's coming with Geralt to go find Ciri, who Emerver Emerith is pretending to have, and that rumor being. But the line is, "Listen to what?" shouted the Witcher, before his voice suddenly faltered. "I can't leave. I can't just leave her to her fate. She's completely alone. She cannot be left alone, Dandelion. You'll never understand that. No one will ever understand that. But I know, if she remains alone, the same thing will happen to her as once happened to me. You'll never understand that. And just to me, this is a moment where Geralt, who usually comes across as either angry or bitter or cynical, really breaks down and reveals the weakness within him, reveals how his past affects him. And I call it weakness. It's not weakness, but it's vulnerability. And vulnerability that is not necessarily a weakness, but just feelings that he has taught himself to repress, feelings that he chooses not to dwell on. And so, not only does this chapter discuss like the cost of war, and like the traitors, and the cost-benefit analysis of which side do you choose, which alliances do you forge, what honorable things do you uphold, but we also see the emotional side coming from Geralt, and coming from the Elven Queen now, the new Elven Queen, and the fact that she is sacrificing the young so that they can maintain power over the community. And it's just, there's a lot that gets mentioned in here in a way that I feel draws you in. Even to the point where you have the Emperor playing, hide and seek with people, to the deception of having Ciri not really be Ciri, but just saying that Ciri until he can find the real one, and calling on magic to do so. So we get to see a lot of that turmoil come up. We also get to see Dandelion, like the amount Dandelion risks going to Brokilon to speak with Geralt, and then vowing to travel with Geralt to help him, really shows just how attached he is to Geralt and how good of a friend he is. And I think Geralt recognizes that, because Dandelion can do things Geralt cannot do. Dandelion has the charisma and the ability to sway people, whereas Geralt is fully built on his prowess as a fighter, and he's not even up to 100% strength yet. He's still suffering, and he doesn't have his swords anymore, though I'm sure he will very quickly find swords again, even if they are not the ones from his Witcher lore. So we'll have to see what's going to happen. We've got 2 chapters left in this novel before we move on to the next one. Please continue along with us. I'm enjoying it. Please let us know your thoughts. Comment is probably the easiest way to respond, so we can go have a back and forth, and I'll address things in a video if you bring anything up. But please continue watching. Look for the next video sometime soon. And as always, have a good one, ladies and gentlemen. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is the end of our video. We do hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, give us a like, comment, subscribe. Let us know what you thought, and as always, have a good one.